Hello, beautiful people. We are so glad to be here with you. Give us 1 second. We're trying to put all the channels on. And give us 1 second. We want to get on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Amazing.
Are we doing it? We're almost connected. We're into everything. Yay, we're here. We're here.
Awesome.
Today, I am super excited to welcome a special guest for us to talk more about the bundle. And I'd love to welcome Alanna Minta Jordan. She is a contributor and she is here. And it's her afternoon because she's in France. And it's my morning because I'm in Arizona. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's amazing connecting despite the distance, getting to chat with you like you're standing right in front of me is amazing. And yes, the vegan health bundle is a wonderful project and I'm very grateful to be a part of it. And I'm grateful to meet people like you.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel just the same way. And the vegan health bundle, this is the 2025 vegan health bundle, and it's available through March 10th. So this is day 4 and once March 10th is over, it's over. So if you're interested in getting it, it's $49. We're going to talk all about what is involved in it. And you could go to Alanna's channel where she's going to tell us where she can be found to click it there, or you can find it in my bio. Where could people find the link for yours?
If people are watching on Instagram, it's Naturo Minta, NATUROMINTA. And if they're on Facebook, it's Alanna Minta Jordan. And I probably should have put the link on LinkedIn, but I didn't think of it. Anyways, there are those 2 places you can find it.
Perfect. And what the bundle is, just a quick recap. First of all, this is my first year as a contributor to the bundle. And I am super excited about it. And I was able to put in a couple different things, and people put in all kinds of things: cookbooks, recipes, yoga classes. There's doctors teaching about blood pressure. There's travel on a bicycle, and the list goes on and on. And please share what year this is for you and anything that you want to share about explaining a little bit about what is this bundle.
Yeah, just a quick thing. Naturo Minta, it's NATUROMINTA, in case people want to contact me instead of the U, but it's all
N-A-T. Oh, we're going to fix that right now.
Awesome.
Good call.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you
so I think this is like my 3rd year contributing to the bundle. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, 3rd year. Wow, you're a pro.
I don't know if I wouldn't call myself a pro. I've enjoyed it a few times, let's say. And so, yeah, this time around, I contributed my ebook called Weight Management and Family Health with ABCs, a coloring book. So the idea behind this, this offering within the bundle was to try to bridge the gap between adults and parents who tend to feel defeated because they want to release weight, and they, I think a part of that like scenario is like feeling like, oh, I'm gonna have to eat differently from my whole family, it's gonna be so hard. And then the other aspect to this is, your children's health. Like, how are you raising them? What are you teaching them to do? How are you, what habits are you building for them, basically? And so I wanted to bridge that gap and just really promote different fruits and vegetables. Each page in the coloring book, each letter has 1 page that you can color with different fruits and vegetables that start with that letter. And then there are a couple of pages that just get into like different advantages to eating that fruit or vegetable. And then at the end of the book, there's a whole series of different games that you can play that basically take you back through the coloring book. So it's kind of a fun activity that parents can do with their kids, or anyone who likes to color can just sit there and kind of doodle around with the coloring pages. I'm a certified naturopath and plant-based health coach. And so I just wanted to try to create a tool that would help bridge that gap. And since I do specialize, I've worked with many different people with different issues, but I do specialize in weight management. This, coloring book is really geared towards the idea of like living a healthy lifestyle, even as a young child growing up, and hopefully that child will have positive habits that will allow them to lead a healthier lifestyle than if they hadn't learned them when they were younger. So sorry, that was a long-winded
Oh
answer.
no, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about what you contributed, and we're going to talk about your background a little more in detail in your family. But I got to tell you, okay, I was blown away by your contribution.
Oh,
I'm so glad that we connected, because I hadn't really looked at that one yet, and I'm so excited about it. It's like it's such an amazing book. It's like there are so many wonderful things in there, but it's like one of my favorites. And
that's so sweet.
yeah. And you know what? It is geared towards kids. And I do have grandbabies, but I'm like, I told my husband, I'm printing out, I want to color this for myself. And what's really great about it is that, like you said, so you have each letter of the alphabet, and then you have a description of what that is. So, and then in it, there can be a recipe. So I have one of your recipes here. I did the A for almonds, and I made the almond milk. And I know that you've been doing a letter a day. Yesterday was C for cookie. And so today is D. So I have dates, and you could sweeten your almond milk with the dates. It was very simple to make. The recipe, everything is very simple. I used a nut bag like you told me, and I have the pulp here that I can use for something else, or maybe you can share about it. And I love, love, love that you can also go to the back, and there's questions for whoever is enjoying the book, and games in there. It's like, where did you come up with this? It's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and it's funny, I did like sprinkle little recipe. I kind of like to call them recipe ideas, because a lot of them are very loosely written, and I did it purposely because we're so used to knowing, this type of food, this amount, this type of food, this amount. And I kind of wanted to just like get people in this mindset where they can create their own recipes and be very, I guess the word I just outside of the box thinking, and like creating these very simple recipes. A lot of people in the raw vegan community, they'll create very simple recipes, with fruits and vegetables. And, some of those recipe books get very complex using a dehydrator and things like that, which are really amazing recipes. Don't get me wrong. And I like making them sometimes. But my way of eating as a busy mom, like I just don't have time to have complex recipes be a part of my daily life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of instill that in people, like, hey, you can make, a simple recipe just by doing this with these 2 or 3 ingredients. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a mindset technique.
Yeah, and I am going to be sharing these coloring books with my grandkids, because, I have ages 8, almost 6, and 2 that are 3 years old each. And, something even like this, right? You can color the almonds, you can, talk about it, read about it, and then they could get up here, and it's simple enough for them to pour things and do the recipe together. And I just really love that, because it is general, because there's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of area for conversations and questions, and it stimulates things. Then you can, even take it a step further, right? When you guys are at the grocery store, and you could say, remember when we read about this? Here it is on the shelf. And I love that, because getting them when they're little to think about it, I think, is a really important key. And when we're older, I think it's fun, and it's a reminder. And a lot of people aren't familiar with all the things that you can find in the produce department. And so your book really brings in some really unique and different things outside of just, a standard tomato, which, hey, I love a tomato, but you know what I'm saying? So that's really great. Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about you, and I'm just going to pour this into my container that's going to go in the fridge.
Yum. Yeah, basically why I do what I do, because often we wonder like how people got where they are and like why they're doing, the work that they do. In a nutshell, I grew up with a mother who was severely obese. And as far as I can remember, she was severely obese. And as a child, I projected myself in her shoes. And it was
Mm,
something that was very, torturous for me my entire life. I'm 45 years old now. Um, but my entire life, I just imagined that I would become obese. And I broke the chains. I'd say I think I was 41 when I lost 35 pounds after having 3 kids in 2 years. I had my first son and then I had twins.
wow.
My entire life I spent yo-yoing, gaining weight, losing weight. I was anorexic for about a year. I was smoking to control my weight. I say I was anorexic for a year. I had 2 bouts of anorexia that never got diagnosed. I just dealt with it on my own. And it's just now, today, looking back, I understand what I was going through. They weren't severe episodes of anorexia, but there was definitely, disordered eating, or not eating, I should say, that was going on. So basically, like, all of this, like, baggage and the fact that I had weight to release after the pregnancies, I could tell that after breastfeeding, the weight was just like piling on really, really quickly. Even though I was vegan, I was not making the right choices. I had initially become vegetarian when I was 12 for the animals, because I believe that being vegetarian was the way of being kinder to the animals. And unfortunately, I didn't see the link between dairy and everything else. But anyways, when I was 12, it was 1991. So there were very few vegetarians. My family kind of freaked out. They're like, how are you going to get protein? How are you going to survive?
Right.
And they didn't want me to become vegetarian, but I just kind of said, well, it's not really your choice. Like, I respect your point of view, but I've made this decision. And so, yeah, basically, like, after my 2 pregnancies, after the breastfeeding was over, I started putting on the weight. I started having heart palpitations. I started
Oh,
having tinnitus, ear ringing. I had acne that was sprouting up on my body. I had like back pain. I had lots of things that started sprouting up. And I'm sure that part of it was due to the fact that I had 3 kids under the age of 2, like I had to take care of, and 2 of them breastfeeding. But I also knew that something was not right. I was not eating the way I needed to eat. And so I went back to school and I got education, a raw food education. I went 100% raw for about 7 months, and now I'm high raw. And I have been like experimenting, adding more cooked foods into my lifestyle, and I'm feeling good about it. I kind of like to think of myself as like raw centered. Like, I always try to like
mm,
focus my attention on raw foods, but I'm not at all in a very strict mindset, because I know that that leads me down the wrong path. And I saw my mother do that to herself for 30 years and it didn't work.
wow.
The all or nothing thing and the
All or
dieting, and
nothing.
it was too much.
Wow. I got to say, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really important that we get that out there, that message about, what really happens to us. And a lot of people are trying to get to that goal of, I want to be healthy, I want to feel better, I know I'm not supposed to normally be carrying this weight, and so on. And yet in society, we haven't been taught the right way how to accomplish that. And so I know that you were onto something. I can't believe 12 years old. That's amazing that it sounds like intuitively or instinctually that you knew there was a different way, even though you weren't exactly sure. And I mean, when I was 12, I wasn't even thinking about that. So, good for you. And yeah, so I'd love for you to dig in a little bit deeper with me about, you know, your journey with raw. I mean, once you're in, because I like raw. I've done raw,
Mhm.
but not, I mean, only like 6 weeks here. And I consider myself kind of high raw, but I eat cooked, and
Yeah.
I can never get 100% because my jaw, I'm like, I got to chew and chew and chew, and I'm still hungry. So I'd love to hear just a little bit about how
Yeah,
you did
sure.
that or why or.
Well, like I said, when I after these pregnancies, I just like I was having these health issues that kept cropping up, and I was like, something needs to shift. Like things are not, clearly not working the way that they should be. And I just like it was kind of funny because like part of me knew that I wanted to help myself, but I also knew that I was going to be making a career shift and I wanted to help others. And I always, since I have 33, today I have 33 years experience in a plant-based, lifestyle because I consider, even though I was vegetarian, the focus was, for the animals and also focusing on fruits and vegetables, even though in my opinion I was still eating too many dairy products. So yeah, I got to this point where my health was degrading and I was like, I have to do something about it. I also need to learn more about like the different spectrum, like on the spectrum of plant-based, like, what do I not know? And I started researching and I just saw a lot of people that used raw foods for healing. And I was like, well, I need to find an expert in raw foods. And so that's why I decided to go down that pathway. And so for, the beginning wasn't easy. Like I was thinking there's no way I can do this. Like even if it's not perfect, this is just like, this looks like totally different from anything that I've ever done my entire life. Like, eliminating or reducing the oil and like the refined sugars. And at that point, like I'd gotten used to like buying a huge chocolate bar and like eating the whole thing in like one, even an hour. Sometimes I could just sit down and eat like a huge candy bar or like a box of cookies. And so, yeah, it was just, let's try something new and see if this helps me.
Yeah.
And the beginning was a challenge. And then I started like noticing that my digestion was so much easier to deal with. I felt like I discovered that that I had digestive issues my entire life because of the way I was able to eliminate better.
Hmm.
And I'd say after about the 5 or 6 months, the 6 or 7 months, I decided to start introducing some cooked food because I wanted the cooked taste. I wanted to have potatoes. I wanted to have some steamed vegetables. And so I didn't really like think much about it. I just figured, okay, well, this is the path I'm taking. And I just started adding some in. And today, like, I'm not going to lie and say I never eat processed food or I never eat oil because that's not true. Like, it happens. I do eat some things every once in a while. I just try to like keep my focus and my center on raw foods and whole plant-based foods.
Hmm. That's
That's just my
awesome.
philosophy. I don't like to feel boxed up. I think it doesn't really work well with my personality. And I feel like it just, yeah. I think a lot of people try to strive for this like all or nothing thing. And I'm not sure that it's healthy for some people, but that's just my point of view.
Yeah. And that's why I really like to meet. I try my best to meet people where they are, and where I am might not be where somebody else is, but that doesn't mean that what they're doing is right or wrong. It's not a black or white thing, like you were saying, all or nothing. But I would like to ask you, so how does your family eat? Do you all eat the same? You have the 3 kids and a husband and yourself, and does everyone eat the same, or how do you make that work in your family?
We don't actually. My partner, he's
Oh, I'm sorry. I
traditional.
said I said husband, but we're gonna say
Oh,
partner.
it's fine, it's fine, it's
Okay.
fine. It's
Okay.
We're not married, but I mean, he's like a husband. So
Okay.
he eats, he's not vegetarian, he's plant-based at home. So basically whatever I prepare, he'll eat it. And then up until about a month ago, he'd asked me to get him eggs and cheese and usually like a few different types of cheeses. And like, even though I don't like buying the cheese, I'm not going to be like, oh, go to the grocery store yourself and go buy them. It's ridiculous. So I mean, I do buy a couple of things for him that I don't consume myself. And over the past couple weeks, maybe it's been a month, he's like drastically reduced his cheese consumption because he's figured out now that it like doesn't agree with his stomach and that he wants to release some weight. And so that's like, I've seen changes in him over time. Like we've been together for 12 years now. So he's like, I mean, his consumption of meat and animal products is like maybe like 10% of what it used to be. Like it used to be like really, really high. So that's like awesome. And my children are vegan. It's tricky because at school they only have a vegetarian option. So I've actually become part of the teacher parent like group, and we've gone to a few meetings with a town hall, and basically they've had discussions like roundtables around like, you know, the school menus, the school cafeteria. And I'm kind of, it's funny because like I'm the only one there who's vegan and who's like trying to like push for those things. So it's like, it's a delicate balance of trying to get people to understand. But I am living in an area that's extremely like based in meat. Unfortunately, foie gras, like we know what happens to the animals when they make foie gras. And, you know, they eat a lot of duck, and just like basically every meat meal that they prepare has like some sort of a creamy sauce. I mean, French people are just very animal product, you know, cultured. That's part of their culture. So.
Yeah. Do they have different, like, you know, in the US, we use a lot of dyes and colors and things that are not accepted in other countries. And I'm wondering if at least that part of things is a little bit better for you guys over there.
That part of things is better. There are more laws that protect consumers from that. Oh, and just to finish up with the kids, my kids get vegetarian meals at school, but they don't eat the cheese or the eggs. They eat around it. So they have to like, I have to kind of like push for them to get extra servings of whatever else is available. So just,
Oh,
yeah, that's
wow.
part of the reason why it's a challenge. But they're really, my eldest son, Matisse, he's super hardcore vegan. And it's like, I haven't been shoving it down his throat. I haven't been like pressuring him, but he asks a lot of questions. And he's kind of like me when I was little, because I started asking questions about his age.
What
And
is
as
his
far as
age? May I ask what his age is?
he's 7.
Oh, 7. Okay. So yeah, I get it. I got a grandson. He just turned 8 like the other day. And
Okay. And my twins are 5.
oh, and they're 5. Okay. So we're
Yeah.
kind of on the same path because yes, we have a granddaughter that's 5. And okay. So yes, continue. I was just wondering what the age was.
Yeah, no problem. And as far as like additives and preservatives, I know that like I mean, I haven't done the research myself, but I have seen images of like ingredients of one processed food in the US and like ingredients of that same processed food in Europe that are extremely different. So I do think that, you know, there are stricter rules, you know, in terms of that. I know that some of like the food coloring and like candy is like I think Skittles even. I think I'd read somewhere Skittles in Europe have natural vegetable like extracts as the dyes. I need to double check, but I know that there's a few, you know, different types of candy that use natural fruits and veggie dyes, whereas in the US it's just like all chemical
Yeah.
laboratory based dyes.
Yeah, well, at least that's a good thing to know, and maybe we'll finally over here catch on where we can all help. Wow, that's amazing. So, yeah, and I wanted to bring that up because so many people struggle with everybody eats different in my house. How can I manage this? Having the bundle, I just want to say, having the bundle can be really helpful with that, right? Because, you know, what you put in, I love it. But all the different people that have contributed, there's over 83 contributions and of all different types of things. It's, to me, it reminds me and it feels like a community. So you're not really alone. You have places to go to and you have support. And for $49, I mean, I think it's a great, great deal. It's valued at over $5,400, I last heard. And so again, if you're interested in a bundle, you're on the fence, you know, use Alanna's link, go to her page, or you can find it in my bio, and we would love to be able to share that with you. Because it can feel lonely with the family component if you're not all on the same page, and just walking outside your front door. I mean, for us, there's billboards and commercials and restaurants, and it's like all in your face. And especially if you're going to school or you're going to work where there's a lot of meetings and things, sometimes they're not offering, you know. It's like, I actually asked at my bank, I went to the bank and they had a bowl of lollipops, and I said, how come you can't put a bowl of fruit out, some apples or something? And the
Or even
answer,
raisins.
oh,
You
that's
know,
a great one.
boxes of raisins.
I love that. That's a great, I'm going to tell them that.
That way they can stay there longer.
Yes, because that was the reason. It's not going to last as long as the candy can last for years and years and years, is what he said. And I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, and you
Yeah.
see little kids running in there, that's the first thing they go to. So anyways, yeah, did you want to share anything about the bundle, like some of your favorite things that you found or anything?
Like I told you, I loved your book, Give Plants a Chance, and I would like to try the onion sauce that you put in there. It's intriguing. I've never seen anyone make a sauce like that. So I'm excited about that. I've made a couple of recipes because my kids, they love fruit and they love to eat healthy, but they also like to have cookies like other kids. And so we made a couple of the cookie recipes. I think you saw on Instagram. We made a couple of recipes from Amanda Sick's More Plants, Less Processed ebook.
Oh.
So the first recipe I made with my son Joachim, it was the Japanese sweet potato chunk cookie. And then Marceau and I, because I wanted to do, you know, one recipe per child, Marceau and I, we did the peanut butter chocolate chunk recipe. So those were really great recipes. I think I replaced in one of the recipes, I put like dates instead of the coconut sugar that she had. But like basically the recipes were like just as sweet as any store-bought cookie, just as yummy. My kids loved them. They were easy to make. So that was really nice doing that. I always love Melissa Maris and Chef AJ's Make It Raw ebooks. Those are really nice. I had mentioned this on Chef AJ's show. Chef James Sant, he always his offers are really, really sweet. Like, you know, the 8 courses, live courses on how to make different recipes. So his delightful desserts for every season, there's like 8 workshops, and I think it's priced at like $330 or something like that. So that alone is like worth more than the $49 for the bundle. I wrote down Powerhouse Smoothies by Doctors Rick and Karen Dina. What I really like about their ebook is they have like they have a spreadsheet that basically gives you the nutrient breakdown on different smoothies according to age. Like I think there's like calcium, vitamin K, vitamin C. It's just like extremely science-based. I like that book a lot. And then Raw Food Romance, I haven't listened to it yet, but her Align and Waken 30-day affirmation meditation challenge is a really nice like idea. And then I really like Karen Ramsey's Raw Vegan Food for Anti-Aging ebook. It's kind of like, it just takes that like simple recipe idea and just transposes it like one simple recipe per page, and just very easy to like read along and inspiring.
Wow, those are great. And I'm glad you shared those, because I haven't looked at some of those. And now I'm like, cookies for every holiday and every season, or I want to check that one out. I want to check them all out. There's just not enough time, but that's why I think it's really important that we have these lives and share with people what's in it, because like you might see something different than I did. And so we can let people know and really, you know, share what's in there, because if you're not familiar with the bundle, you might not know. Now, if you have bought a bundle in the past, like I have bought them in the past before I contributed, they're different. So if you say, oh, I already have the bundle, from last year, the year before, it's going to be different information than what's in today's. And so, as long as you download it within the time frame, you have a year, but I wouldn't wait a year, and put it somewhere, you have it indefinitely. And I think that's so amazing. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do your kids vote, or how do they do this? Do they taste test? Like, you said everybody gets a different recipe to try, which I think is great.
I just sat them down in front of the ebook, and I was like, and I pointed out the ones that we had the ingredients for. So I wasn't like, oh, let's just make anything. I was like, oh, I think we could make this one or this one. And then they just kind of were like, okay, like I'll do this one. I'll do this one. I mean, I didn't do one with my son, Matisse, because he was with his grandparents, but I think I'm going to make something with him tonight. So
that'll
we'll
be
try to keep you guys posted on what we make.
Yeah, I would love it. I would love it. And so you also said that you're a naturopath. So do you work with a private clientele? Are you on the internet for that? Or just I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Yes. I practice online, and if all goes well with this house, I will have, a place where I can actually have people coming into my home into an office space. So far I've been working online. A naturopath basically, helps the person reach their goals by looking at their lifestyle from a holistic standpoint. In my opinion, the first being or one of the first would be dietary choices, then general lifestyle choices, family history. So I usually ask someone for a 4-day food diary, very detailed, with quantities, time, exactly ingredients that are in each, element to their food diary. And then I basically just go through with the person and try to really delve into the details of their life and how I can help them make small actionable changes to achieve their goals. And I'm going through another certifying coaching program right now that's super exciting. So I'm happy to have all these different tools under my belt. And I use herbalism as well to help people reach their goals. So.
Wow. And I am also a certified plant-based nutrition coach. And there are a few of us that got together, and we also have another contribution in the bundle besides my Give Plants a Chance cookbook. And it's the masterclass series. And so it's just video series, which is different than, some people offer video series, some people offer, all different kinds of things. But I'm glad that I was able to hear a little bit about what you do outside of the bundle, in case people, want to reach out, they can do that. But yeah, so do you have any questions for me?
Yes. I would love to hear, I saw a little bit about your story, but I'd love to hear, for my viewers, who don't know you, how could you summarize what how your path led you to what you're doing today, and what you would like to instill upon others?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you so much. So it's been a lifelong journey. It started when I was very, very young. And I just had environmental allergies and food allergies. And I started at around age 4, and I was getting allergy shots. And then, I was on the standard American diet. My family, that's just how it was. I didn't think about where this meat or where this product came from. There was such a disconnect. I never thought about it, but I always was interested in thriving in good health. And I would always try whatever fat or whatever thing, was talked about, right? So the fat-free dressings, or or my parents too. My mom especially, she would, drink the diet sodas or whatever. We never really had big weight problems with my parents, and I'm an only child, so there were no siblings. But what I noticed looking back is that I think that that was the beginning of a very long issue with inflammation. And it led to me having chronic sinusitis problems. I'm allergic to a fungus that we breathe that's a bacteria in the air. And so I was having all kinds of sinus trouble. And I had children very young, and my youngest daughter, I remember she used to like to just walk in a circle around me while I stood still, and it would make me dizzy. And I would have to tell her, don't walk around, mommy. So I was always dealing with just a lot of inflammation in the head. And so I kept going to doctors. And so they were putting me on prednisone and all kinds of sinus rinses. A compound pharmacy would make medications that had to be refrigerated. I couldn't travel without having it. And it just became something that I accepted. But through things, I would try different types of food. And eventually I watched, what is the name of that? Super Size Me. Super Size Me. And that was the first time I realized, wow. And I immediately stopped eating fast food. And so it progressed through the years. How I would change things and do things. But when I finally found veganism, I had also dealt with a lot of issues with tumors and cysts. I had an ovarian tumor, breast tumor, fingers. I actually had a brain tumor, actually a pituitary adenoma removed. And so that was no fun. And so I've got a lot of stuff like that. But what I found was that I finally found vegan. What is vegan? My daughter was telling me, you got to try this vegan thing with me. And we did. And
was your daughter who came to you with the initial idea?
Yes. She was also always looking to improve her health. And I had my kids very young, so we're close in age. And we spent a lot of time when she was in her, early 20s together. We would go grocery shopping and read labels. And yes, she said, I got this thing I want to try. It's vegan. And I'm like, what's a vegan? So
how long ago was this?
When was that?
Yeah. When did you start exploring veganism with your daughter? What year was this?
Oh gosh, that was probably around 2010. But I had cut meat out probably in the late or mid 90s. So it's been this non-linear, it's just been this up and down kind of thing. And so anyways, I got the vaccine and I became vaccine injured. And I was eventually told that I had small fiber neuropathy. Oh, it was awful. And, it's not a political thing or a judgment. It's just what happened. It's just what happened to me.
Right.
And so I had changed my eating back because I was anemic. And I was told that, that's the only way to correct it, because I had tried everything else. And there's a lot I'm skipping over just to kind of summarize it. But I was having a blood test 3 weeks prior, 3 weeks later from, this certain time period. And I thought, I'm going to go back to what I know will drop the cholesterol, because I was concerned about my cholesterol. And I started eating Dr. Esselstyn's Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease cookbook, and I didn't really tell anyone. And 3 weeks later, I had my blood test and I dropped 50 points, which was amazing. But the most surprising thing that happened to me was that I could move and I could get out of bed and I could move my hips and I could start to walk again. I couldn't feed myself, hold a pen. I didn't want to live in the body that wasn't functioning correctly, and accidentally found that Whole Foods, it gave me my life back. It took the inflammation away. And today I am 99.9% cured of everything. And I only take one medication. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and so I wanted to become a certified plant-based nutrition coach and just shout, not tell people what to do, but just let them know, hey, if you're looking for something, I want you to have this awareness and check it out and see what works for you. So that's
Yeah.
kind of my
Show an
story.
example, right?
Yes, yes, and we do have a few questions in the chat. We have some people here, so I just want to let them know. So, Video 1000 Night says, "Does she? Do you think coffee is good or bad? Do you think coffee is good or bad?"
I know that people have different opinions on this. From the research that I've done, caffeine can be really stressful on the adrenal glands. And just, yeah, a lot of people, when they wake up in the morning, it's kind of the first thing that they reach for. I know a lot of my good friends even like just will have casual discussions and they'll ask me, "Oh, what would you recommend doing?" And a lot of people, they do have this habit of just like having it be the first thing that they drink in the morning. I haven't had coffee in, I think it's been 4 years. I used to be a really huge coffee drinker. When I was working as in the logistics department at a contemporary art foundation, because that was my previous life, I used to drink like 6 or 7 coffees a day. And I thought that it gave me energy, and it was actually really sapping my energy. Um, so I do think, like, without putting a guilt trip on anyone or saying you have to stop drinking coffee, it could be interesting to be mindful of how you feel before and after the coffee, and maybe try like drinking lemon water in the morning instead of the coffee, or try reducing the amount of coffee, or maybe have coffee after a meal instead of first thing in the morning. I think it could be just like interesting to observe how you feel with the coffee and without the coffee, I guess would be my answer.
I love that. I love that. Right. And that's the thing, like everyone's different. And so it's not, I have found that I don't get anywhere if I'm trying to like tell somebody what works for me, that it will work for you. It might not, but being aware. And I love the idea of you suggesting just kind of seeing how you feel, that awareness, that awakening, and what happens if you shift it to a different time, or replace it in the morning. I love that. Maybe even keeping a journal for a few days or a week just to kind of go back. So, because for me, I forget, oh, what did I feel like the other day? But if I write it down, I
Mhm.
can reflect. So,
Definitely.
yeah, thank you for the question,
Mhm.
Video
Yeah.
1000 Nights. And I'm so glad that people are here tuning in with us. The bundle goes till the 10th. So we hope that if you're on the fence, that you would consider it before there's no other opportunity. And you can find it with the link through my bio, as well as on your channels, Alanna. And her book, again, is so incredible. I love it. It's cute and it's original and it's just fabulous. Weight Management and Family Health with ABCs and a coloring book.
And your amazing book as well, and your series of talks that are great. Give plants a
Oh,
chance. And I'm curious, what would you have, because people who are here listening, they like to walk away with some value on like how they can like make small changes.
yeah.
In terms of like, going plant-based, did you have difficulties when you first decided to go plant-based, like socially, or maybe even today, like you run into difficulties, and how do you handle those? What could you recommend other people do if they're feeling like, oh, I want to do this, but the odds are against me, my friends aren't, my partner isn't. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So great question. Thank you. There's so many answers that I'm thinking of, but the first thing for me I can say is that finding my why, or what I call my emotional connection, the reason that I want to do this, because I feel like if we really dig deep and realize why we want to do something, um, we will be more successful. For me, I wanted quality of life. And once I knew this was the answer, it didn't matter for me what was going on around me. That doesn't mean I don't have moments where I'm like frustrated that, somebody else in my family can, go and get something ready to go and I have to make it and I'm tired. I mean, it's not like that, but learning to prepare things and just kind of be a step ahead also is really helpful. And getting support, community, and people that you can learn from and that you can fall back on and talk about things. And, you know, like when I was first doing this, my husband was not at all. And he said, you know, I'll support you while I do it this, you know, standard American way. And for a while I was like, gosh, I really want you to do it this way. And I got to a point where I just had to tell him, it doesn't matter. I say, like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I don't really care what you're doing. And I don't mean that like I don't care, it doesn't matter. My point was that he responds well to that type of communication. And the idea was, I need to focus on me and what works for me. If you want to join me, join me. But otherwise, right. I've got to worry about this. And that was really kind of a light bulb moment for us in our relationship. And he, you know, he didn't fight me anymore because there was nothing to fight. I was like, do whatever works for you and let me know if you want to join. And slowly but surely he did. But for me, I think it's just taking it one day at a time and understanding why you want to do it. And, you know, at first I asked myself, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to be a health coach, right? To help others. Why do I want to help others? Because I want people to succeed. And I kept digging deeper and deeper into why until it wasn't about them, what I'm doing for them. It's about me. And when I realized, because it gave me my quality of life back, because I can get on the floor and interact and play or go and climb on the equipment at the park with my grandkids instead of sitting near them and watching them, like, that was it for me. So that helps me stay focused. If you don't know the direction you're going, it's hard. Like, and my last scenario I can share is, if you're driving a car, you could drive everywhere. If you don't have a destination, you could drive. But if you know where you're going while you're driving and enjoying, you'll get there. So it's finding that connection within yourself is what I would say.
That's great. Yeah. Knowing why you're doing what you're doing is very important. That's for sure. And it keeps you focused, laser beam focused.
Yeah, it can change. It can change.
Yeah.
Things come up in life. And, you know, so revisit that often. Or if you find yourself like, you know, I recently, my father passed away a few weeks ago. And I found myself going into old thinking, old behavior, looking for that comfort in old food that's not going to be there. But I was aware that I was looking, and I'm like, what are you doing? And so I had to take a step back, and I had to realize there's a need that's not being met. What is it that I need? And I needed self-love and self-care in a different way. And so that helps me get back on track. So yeah.
It's a really great point. You know, it is tricky to set yourself up thinking that point A to point B is going to be a straight line. I say to my clients, like, you know, it's not, the pathway is not like clear and straight. It can be, you know, loop-de-loops and ups and downs and backwards and forwards. Like, it's not a static situation. So,
Yeah.
and even as coaches, we don't have, you know, we're humans too. Right?
Exactly. And that's another great reason that I wanted to be a part of the bundle, because it gives me an opportunity to meet more people. The community aspect is so important for me, to stay connected with like-minded people, learn from different people, and support people from if they're where I was a year ago. And I find that is something that I find in the bundle, because we get to meet people like you and I. We didn't know each other before this, and now look at it, brought us together. So yeah, any last words or anything else that you wanted to touch on?
I would just say if you're listening to us and you're on the fence about getting the bundle, you will not be by any means disappointed. This bundle is really, really amazing. I mean, they all are. Like you said, there are different things in these bundles. It's not the same item. And even if you only have time to like read one or two, it's worth it. And you don't have to be vegan to buy the bundle by any means. Like everyone is welcome.
Right. You don't
So
have to be vegan. You don't have to be raw. You don't have to be a yoga expert. You don't have to, it's maybe something that you might be curious about, or maybe getting the bundle and looking at it, you didn't even think. It's like, oh, what is this? And you can look at it that way. So, yeah. Well, I
and
just wanted
a lot of us are also, sorry, one last thing. A lot of us are also coaches and experts like outside of the bundle. So what's cool about the bundle, it's kind of like a tasting, a platter, like with all these different,
Mm,
philosophies and perspectives and outlooks on life and life stories, like, oh, this person, lost their parents to cancer, this person lost 200 pounds, or this person lost a child. So you have all these different professionals that have different life stories that may speak to you more or less. And that's what's really cool if you're thinking about like trying to, shift your life and you're thinking, oh, I would like to, work with a coach. The bundle's amazing because you have all these coaches like in one place. So
right, right. I love that. I love that. I have one last question for you. Do you eat for your family? Do you prepare like meals at meal time, or do you guys just eat and prepare when people are hungry? I know there's schedules involved, but I'm just wondering, maybe on weekends, do you do a timed thing more? Because some people are trying to get more tuned into how they feel when they're hungry versus it's lunchtime. And I'm just wondering, having a family, what you guys do.
we do tend to eat at meal times, but in between the meal times, I let my kids eat and I try to I have this basically next to the dining room table, there's like a huge cornucopia of different fruits. And I try to just, urge them to go and serve themselves if they're hungry. So I do try to you know, get them to go towards the fruit in between meals.
I love
And
that.
that's just, I mean, they're growing kids, so I don't want to I'm not going to tell them they can't eat. If they're hungry, I let them eat whenever they want to eat. But we do tend to have the meal times, especially, my partner, he's very traditional in that way. So we
Yeah.
find a compromise that works for
I think
everyone.
that's great. Yeah, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting to meet you and chat with you and learning about you. And I'm super grateful for the opportunity. And I hope to
Me as
stay
well.
connected with you.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. It was really great getting to know you, and thanks to everyone who has been listening. I saw Todd Hanla said Alanna's book is amazing. Thank you so much, Todd.
Yeah. Yes, thank you everybody who logged in. And if you're watching the replay, you can always reach out with questions to either of us. And so, anyways, I wish you a great evening, because I think it's end of day for you, and we're just starting out here. And I just want to say, don't forget to eat your greens and give plants a chance. And if you're on the fence, just take the plunge. Like Alanna said, you won't regret it. $49. You have until March 10th. The links are in our bios. Or anyways, have a wonderful day, everyone. And thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.